Hey guys, it's Sunday night, 4/19/2020. Did you guys get your stimulus check? I leave my comments disabled so you won't be able to answer, but I haven't got mine yet. I'm hoping to get it maybe this week. Somebody was saying around the 20th for some of us that are, I guess, are having trouble or something like that, so they're not getting them all out right away. So I hope we get our stimulus checks pretty soon. You know, so I just thought I would mention that a little bit. We all got to have a little cash in our pocket in these times. You know, and if you can save some, that's even better. Put some in your savings account if you can. It's tough times out there, you guys, with this coronavirus, and then they're not letting up on the targeting at all. My targeting hasn't let up at all. These guys still hit me the same, so it's unreal, pretty much. So I was gonna, my video last night, if you guys watched it, I was gonna talk about something else that I forgot what I was gonna talk about. So I thought I would talk about that tonight. What I was gonna talk about, and I totally spaced it out last night, was that, uh, you know, um, I mentioned this before. I guess the question is, who is doing this to us? Some people say it's corporations, some people say it's government, some people say it's whoever. There's a leader in our community that said that cartels have this technology, which is totally false. Dr. Duncan said this is like uh, it's like I can't even think right now. It's like a nuclear weapon. Um, they're not making this stuff in their garage. You guys, they're not making these weapons in their garage. The cartels don't have these weapons. Nothing like that is true. These guys are the guys that are doing this to us, and that we're really being hit. The guys that are doing this to us are connected to a government uh, computer system, supercomputers or whatever you want to call it. They're hooked up to this government system where they got the Neuralink on us, and they got the they mapped out our brainwave signature and stuff like that. The cartels don't have this technology. That's total BS. And there's a leader that says that. Well, that's not true at all. Cartels don't have this. They're not a bunch of young punks making this stuff in the garage or anything like that. No, that's not true at all. That's all misinformation, you guys. False. All misinformation, disinformation. That is not the case. So who is doing this to us? If you're a real target and you're getting all the weapons and stuff like that, V2K and remote neural monitoring and stuff like that. If you're in a program like that, this is government sponsored, and they have contractors that are doing the dirty work. You know, do you think they want the government? Do you think the government's gonna take responsibility for doing this to American citizens? They're not gonna do it. So what they do is they contract out, and these contractors are doing all the dirty work. And personally, I think that I think the contractors are hiring low-level thugs, possibly even to work these weapons. And I think they may have some people there that know something about the brain. It could be a psychiatrist, uh, you know, um, all kinds of people, neuroscientists or whatever. I think there are some people that know about the brain that are involved. Obviously, they got to know about the brain and behaviorals and all this stuff, psychologists, psychiatrists, and all that stuff. I do believe that there are doctors involved, but I also believe that they have the scumbags doing the torture, have something to do with the torture. In one of Dr. Duncan's books, he said in his book, he said this software or whatever is so simplified that a monkey could operate this software. A monkey could operate these weapons. It's so simplified. So, it's not going to take a rocket scientist to work these weapons. I think they do a little bit of training and all that stuff, and they teach these scumbags because, they're hiring these scumbags to do the dirty work. These low-level people to do the dirty work. And these guys are just doing what they're told, but they don't care either way. They don't care. They don't care what they do. They're sociopaths, psychopaths, and all this stuff. They don't care if they hurt people. They'll hurt young people. They'll hurt old people. I've seen videos on YouTube where people in their 70s were being sexually assaulted from these weapons. How effing sick can you get? How sick can you be to sexually assault a grandma, an older lady, in her 70s? You can't get more sick than that. And they made videos about it and stuff. It's really disgusting. So who is doing this to us? There's some government agencies that are involved, obviously. Obviously it's government sponsored. But they hire contractors. And just like John Hall said, Dr. John Hall said that it's probably in a private investigating company, or maybe a security company. They got these contracts, and then those people hire people to do the torture. They hire people to do the torture. They're not going to get their hands dirty. You think these guys are going to get their hands dirty? No. So, I know people talk about hive mind teams and all that stuff. In my program, they made me believe, I don't know if this is true or not, but they made me believe that all these young punks were torturing me. But every now and then you would listen to a well-spoken, intelligent lady, with a pleasing voice talk. She knew, you could tell she knew, she was educated. She wasn't like these low-level punks. So they have hive mind teams. I think they do use scumbags, low-level scumbags, to do the torture, actual torture. But I also think that they do have doctors involved. Right there, maybe not there all the time. But I think they do have doctors involved that are educated about the brain and behaviorals and many different things, about the brain. They know about the brain. But do I think they're doing the actual torture? I don't know about that. But anyway, it's government sponsored. They don't want this going back to the government, so they're hiring contractors to do the dirty work, and then the contractors are hiring low-level scumbags to do the torture. They don't want to get their hands dirty either. So it's kind of stacked on there. Government contractors, and then they hire people to do the torture, and stuff. So it's many levels of people and companies that are doing this to us. Do I think, people say that it's corporations. Well, Coca-Cola aren't going to invest millions of dollars in torturing you. I don't believe that. A lot of people say, well, it's corporations and it's government. The only corporations there's a lot of security companies involved, and there's a lot of private eye companies involved in this program. And they have connections. They could be former FBI or CIA or whoever. They could have, they have connections to get this, to get these weapons. But they're not building it in their garage, and it's not your neighbor building it in the garage and doing this to you. That's nonsense. That's disinformation, you guys. Total nonsense. Don't believe those people, even if it comes with, even if it comes from credible people. Don't believe that. It's not the cartels. Oh, the cartels. There's a leader that said the cartels got a hold of her, and they were saying that they had these weapons. The other side had these weapons and all this stuff. Got a hold of her by email. Are you really gonna believe? A person from the cartels got a hold of you, and what? They're asking for help? Is that no? That's ridiculous. If you believe that, you're very, very, very gullible. That's just ridiculous. Cartels. Oh, the other side has this. I'm gonna go to targeted individuals and ask for help. What do I do? Really? That's ridiculous. That's nonsense. That's disinformation, misinformation. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous information. So who's doing, government, and then they hire contractors to do this work, and then they hire people to do the dirty work. They don't want to get their hands dirty. If this ever came out, these people would be hung. They'd be hung. You'd be like a Nuremberg trial. They would, I think all those doctors got hung, didn't they? If my information is correct, didn't all those doctors get hung? It'd be like that. America would be outraged. People would be outraged, and they'd be so outnumbered that they'd have to go and hide underground. Because if anybody ever found out what they were doing to us, America would be outraged. They'd be outraged and stuff. And so I just thought I would do a little video about that. So who's doing this to us? It's government sponsored. Nobody has this kind of cash, and they're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on us a year, you guys, with all the stuff that's going on, gang stalking, and if you're getting the weapons, all the weapons and all this stuff, my perps do 12-hour shifts, so they got to have quite a few perps switching off and on, if they're doing 12-hour shifts. I think a lot of them are on alcohol, and I think a lot of them are meth heads, and I think a lot of them smoke pot. When I was getting the chemicals, they were smoking pot, and they were blowing it in my house. They were also blowing gasoline in my house. They flushed me out by spraying gasoline in my house. It was, the strong was so small. Was so strong. I had to leave. So these people are crazy. They're crazy. They'll do anything. They don't care, because they think they're never gonna get caught. Well, they might get caught one of these days. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I'm 47, or I'm gonna be 47. I'm 46 right now. My birthday is next month. This will come out sometime, you guys. This will come out someday. Technology is advancing, and they're starting to do all these things where you can use your brain waves and all this stuff. It's slowly coming out, and people might believe this in 10 years that this technology exists. And I'll tell you something, if this program comes out, they're going to have to pay. There's no amount of money. I'll tell you right now, there's no amount of money that can make up for what they've done to us. There's no amount of money. But I'll tell you something, if we got compensation from this program in someday, maybe 10 years or whatever, if it came out and people knew what they were doing to us, they would be spending trillions of dollars in compensation to all of us that are suffering in and I pray for the families that have lost their loved ones to this program. And just like Barry Trower says, some of us aren't going to make it through this program, and that's just reality of it. It's that's just the reality of it. Some of us won't make it through this. I hope everyone does make it through this, but some of us won't. And we lost a lot of TIs recently. We lost a lot of TIs recently, and stuff. And I'm gonna kind of cut that off there. I don't really want to get into that, but I pray for the families that have lost someone to this program. But as far as the surviving victims, they would have to pay out compensation if this ever came out, and it would be trillions and trillions of dollars that they would have to pay out to us. There's no amount of money that can ever make up for what they've done to us. That's a fact. All the trauma and torture and psychological torture and physical torture and all that stuff. There's no amount of money. You can't put a price tag on what we went through, and stuff. But, so I just want to talk about that a little bit. But we'll try to make it through this, you guys. And, but like I say, it's government sponsored. They just don't want to get their hands dirty. So they're using and abusing these people that are on the bottom. They're using them and they're abusing them, and when they're done using them, they're gonna kick them to the curb. Because they don't care about these people. They don't care about anybody. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this off, you guys. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you're doing well out there and staying healthy. And I'll talk to you guys later.